As a woman, you laying down, you're having a man enter your body, secrete things from him into your body over and over and over again. And if you're dealing with a man that has issues, that is not healed, all of that trauma is coming out in his semen into your body. And you doing it over and over and over again. You locked in for 18 years. And if you have a child with somebody, you marry somebody, you're with somebody who has issues, those issues can now become your issues. And now you're having a fight. Welcome to another episode of the That's Scary with Meloney P podcast. I'm your girl, Meloney P, and we are here to have a conversation. Listen, y'all, it's Sunday. We're having a Melly moment, and I want it to be like super intentional about the conversation, the discussion that we're going to have today. Before I get started, y'all, make sure you join the That's Scary with Meloney P family. We're here to talk about everything from sex, dating, love, relationships, the culture, and everything in between. So if you like that kind of conversation, and I know you do, make sure you hit that subscribe button and share with your friends and your family. Today, we are talking about a very sensitive subject, right? A subject that I never thought that I was going to feel comfortable saying out loud. I am 40 some years old, and I wanted to have a conversation and educate and help and kind of just start the dialogue about what it looked like to be 40. What does it mean to be 40, y'all? It's really interesting because most of my friends are a little bit older than me, and they're all successful, happily married women. And I remember when they started turning 40 and I would be talking to them, they would always say, girl, once you turn 40, it's like a light bulb switches and shit that mattered don't matter anymore, and stuff that, didn't matter now matters. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, girl, please, like, what does that mean? And I've heard so many women say that, like, once you hit 40, everything begins to change. Background on me, right? So I feel like I was one of those people that was scared, not really scared, but kind of scared to, like, let me back up. Not even scared, but I feel like I had a lot of plans for myself, and I had created this vision, this goal, like, okay, when I turn 40, I hear what you're saying, but when I turn 40, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be doing this, that, and the third, and it is what it is. And one of the things I'm talking about today is kind of when we always hear these cliche things that when you make a plan, God laughs. And it's like, okay, I'm going to show y'all because you know what? This is what God wants for me. And this is where I'm going to be. And then 40 comes around and they're right. Your whole mindset changes. And I think that there are lessons to learn. I think that one of the things that I talk about a lot on my show is there's a lot of divisive debate culture. There's a lot of divisive debate culture within the Black community, but I'm here for the healthy debating conversation. But I also want to have with that conversation, what's next? How can I reach back and help someone so they can avoid mistakes that I made, right? Like, people are always talking about, oh, if a man ain't doing this and a woman ain't doing this and divide. I hear it, but what's next? After you have all that, toxic debate, 50-50, Cheesecake Factory conversations, then what? What seeds are you sowing in the community to at least have the people who come after you lead a better life? So today we're talking about the things that I've learned since turning 40. We're talking about, if I was someone in my 20s and my 30s, even in my 40s, who, thought I would love to hear or potentially see my future self so I can maybe avoid certain things or, look out for certain things or make certain plans for myself. And I feel like a lot of this will avoid a lot of pain, right? Especially in the Black community. I feel like when it comes to women in the Black community, when it comes to that mother-daughter conversation and relationships, sometimes as mothers, I think that our parents can sometimes have this fixation on tradition, fixation on, I guess maybe not being embarrassed that maybe your child decided to take another route than what you think is right. And we can sometimes, or those mothers can sometimes force their daughters into situations and down paths that maybe they necessarily don't want to go down. Now, I want to preface that by saying that parents typically know a lot And I think that especially with Black mothers, they want to set their daughters up for what they deem to be successful. And I think that Black mothers just want the best for their Black daughters. But sometimes, and this can go down a whole path, but a lot of times our mothers and their mothers, therapy wasn't a thing, healing wasn't a thing, freedom wasn't a thing, not being married wasn't a thing. Like, it was just a different lifetime with a lot of limitations, right, that women today don't have. But let's get into it, y'all. We are talking about what I've learned since turning 40. I actually did poll some women, right? I polled some of my friends who are a little bit older than me to kind of ask them, what have you learned since turning 40 that might be a great conversation and a great, discussion for women in their 20s and 30s to listen to help avoid maybe some mistakes or help kind of strategize and have a plan that's going to be beneficial for them and set them up for success when they turn 40. Like, let's get this started. So this first one that I'm going to talk about, right? My friend actually put this down. And she said, I'm the only person responsible for my happiness. What a loaded lesson to learn, right? This is a good one. I feel like oftentimes women associate their happiness to a man or to a job or to a certain situation, but specifically a man. I know that I have done this before in the past. Like, okay, if I'm single or if I'm not with someone or if I'm out here doing things on my own, then I need to associate my happiness with my partner. If they're not happy, then I'm not happy. If a partner don't exist, then I'm not happy. And I think that aligns with this conversation of women dating themselves, going out by themselves, going to dinner by themselves, going to the movies by themselves. I remember when I was younger, I used to like cringe at the thought of someone seeing me out by myself, like eating dinner by myself or in a movie by myself. But what that does is it helps you to build a personal relationship with yourself. We're so busy oftentimes, especially in our younger ages, trying to get to that certain thing, trying to align ourselves with a man, trying to align ourselves with something. Meanwhile, we're neglecting romanticizing ourselves, dating ourselves, understanding like, what do I like? What don't I like? Like, what makes me happy when I am alone, right? I'm going to go out to dinner. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to enjoy my own company, right? It's interesting because some of the stuff that I'm saying is so kind of cringe and interesting that is coming out of my mouth, because I used to hear people say these same things and I'd be like, girl, bye. Like, what? But the thing of it is that you have to be comfortable with being alone. You have to love yourself, and not just like superficial, oh, I love myself. No, you have to be in love with yourself. You have to enjoy your own company, because at the end of the day, if you don't even enjoy your own company, how are you going to be a good partner to somebody else? Because you don't even enjoy being with yourself. So how is a man going to enjoy being with you whenever you don't enjoy being with yourself? And I think it's a domino effect as well, because when you predicate your life on someone else and not doing the work on yourself and not, romanticizing yourself, dating yourself, knowing what you like sexually, right? Knowing what you like, what do you enjoy? If you don't understand those things, you're going to end up picking a partner who you're not compatible with, because you don't even know what you like, what you don't like. What does it feel like to be alone? What does it feel like to focus on your own happiness and not have someone else be responsible for your happiness? I always say this. You're not a tree. You're not a tree. And you can't be mad at somebody else for not pouring into your cup. You can't be mad at somebody for having some type of issue to where they're moody, they're mad, they're angry, and now you are taking that on yourself. You don't have to. Like, you came into this world alone. You're going to leave alone at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, you have to just be responsible for your own joy, your own happiness, because people change. People change. And my last point on this is going to be, if you align yourself and make another person responsible for your happiness, What happens when they're no longer happy? What happens when, they're angry or they're going through stuff and they're projecting their stuff on you? Now you have to go from being a happy person to not being a happy person because you are aligning your joy, your happiness on your partner. Date yourself, love yourself, go to the movies. I love a good horror movie. Go to the movies by yourself. Enjoy time with yourself, especially in those younger years when you're like 20, 30, even in your early teens. You have to really use this time to understand who you are. And that leads me to my next learning sense. And this was one that was interesting that I'm like, that's a good tip, girl. Always be a student in life and learn from everything. It is so important to always be willing to grow, always be a student of life, always be a student, right? Example, you see a lot of relationships as you're growing up. You see the good and the bad. I have 3 older brothers. 2 of them have been married twice. One of them have been married once. And one thing that I always look at, especially now, and especially when I got older, was I want to have conversations with them to understand, like, hey, what went wrong in your relationships? What did you learn from your relationships, right? I'm interested. I want to ask the questions and I want to understand, like, okay, you are in a place where you're several years older than me and in a place that I'm trying to get to age-wise, wisdom-wise. Tell me what life is like for you. Tell me what your relationships have been like for you. What are your experiences? You should never be in a place of like just still in terms of elevating and growing. You should always be elevating yourself. You should always be wanting to learn new things, reading books. Again, as I'm saying this, it's crazy because this is stuff that I have had people say to me, and I wasn't giving it no type of time of day. But as I get older and as I hit this 40 age, all of this stuff is so true. Even when things happen to you negatively, it is easy to sit here and say, oh, learn from it. Use it as a lesson, right? Obviously, that sounds great. It sounds really pretty. And when you're going through it, it's not as easy. Go through the feelings. Feel the feelings, but don't make the same mistakes over and over and over again. Use life as the ultimate classroom. It's funny because I remember I was talking to this guy and he was having the same dating scenario situation over and over and over again. And I told him, I said, you are going through the same situation over and over again because you didn't learn anything the first, second, third, 10th time. So you're making the mistake over and over again. And when you do that, God is going to put you in a situation where, okay, he didn't learn, she didn't learn. So let me take her through this class again. And hopefully I'm going to take her through 3rd period English over and over and over again until she knows how to put the periods in the sentences and, do what needs to be done so you can move forward. You're going to stay in a repetitive cycle if you are not learning something from situations in your life. Always be a student of life. Number 3, this was a really good one that my friend also put down here. Say no and don't apologize for it. Don't say yes to things you don't want to do. It's me season. I thought this was really cool. Women especially, we do things for other people. We put ourselves in situations that we don't want to be in just because maybe we don't want to say no, or just because, you don't want to come across as not a good person or whatever the case might be. Miley Till said one of the most pivotal things that I have learned in my life in this journey of womanhood is that no is a complete sentence. You don't have to put yourself out to make somebody else feel comfortable. If you don't want to go, don't go. If you don't want to, do a certain thing, don't do it. But the caveat to that I thought was really good is she's like, sometimes she would find herself in situations where people invited her somewhere or asked her to do something. Like even like I remember I used to have to move. Not have to move, but when I would move, I would ask like my friends to help me move or whatever. And a lot of times they would do it and they didn't want to do it. And then they'd be pissed and be angry or whatever. But one thing Malik said is that if somebody invites you somewhere or somebody wants you to help them with something and you don't want to do it, you can say no, but then as a courtesy, maybe send them a gift card or send them some flowers if you don't want to go to their event. You know what I'm saying? You can say no, protect your own peace, and then do a very nice, friendly gesture as a, plan B to the situation or whatever. So I think that's really good that she said that. She said, say no, don't apologize for it. She is in a season of me. I feel like a lot of Black women are in a season of me, especially after this election. And I think being let down from the results of this election and feeling like Black women often have to carry the world on their shoulders. And Black women are in their me season. We're in the femininity, soft, we ain't sister soldier. You got it. I'm a rest in my femininity. You take the lead. You got it. Number 3, the importance of picking the right partner. Now, this is a big one, and this probably has the roots to be its own episode, but love and picking a partner is one of the most, and who you're having children with is one of the most important decisions as a woman you will make. And, this is a difficult one because I feel like a lot of times, and I did the same thing, a lot of times when you're talking to young women about the importance of picking a partner, they have on these love goggles and common sense, future plans kind of go out the window. I've been there. I have a family member who's in that situation or who was in that situation recently. And it's really telling, and it's really, really, really interesting to see how this is something that seems to be difficult for us to understand. Because we're leading, women are typically the more emotional beings. Men are typically more of the strategy planner type, energy. And because women are soft, because women are emotional creatures, they often, and I've been there, we see potential in a man, right? What they could be, how they could be if they just did this. And, I'm gonna be the woman to make him do what he didn't do for that last woman. Like, I'm so different. Like, I'm so different. And because I'm so different and so great, that means he's going to be great, whatever. Girl, no. When somebody shows you who they are, you better believe them the first time. If you don't believe in the first time, believe in the second time, but you better believe them. This conversation is filled with so many of these cliche comments, these cliche sayings. When somebody shows you who they are, you better believe them. Okay, girl, bye, whatever, whatever. But that is such a pivotal sentence that you need to take in your romantic and your friends and your work, your career. That sentence will take you so far, and it will alleviate you from a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. You cannot date potential. You cannot raise a grown-ass man. You cannot date potential. You have to be selfish. And I think that it goes back to that last one from my friend, being in a season of me. You don't date, you don't marry based on what you see somebody could be. That is like putting a bullet in a gun and playing Russian roulette or whatever you call that thing and just hoping and praying that the bullet don't blow your brains out. Like, that's really what that is. How could you pick somebody, procreate with somebody, bring a child into a situation on what could be? Because what could be also couldn't be. So if you're basing your selection of a husband, of a child, of a father to your children on what's possible, why would you even put your kid in that situation? And again, listen, nobody's perfect. I can only speak from experience. My friends can only speak from experience. Women can only speak from experience. And that's why it's so important to sit your ass down and talk to and listen to women who are older than you, because they have been there. But at the end of the day, that is one of the most important decisions you will make in your life. Imagine getting married to a man based on what you think he could be. Getting married, trusting that this man is going to grow up. He's going to change. These things that I'm seeing that I know don't quite seem right, Child, I know he's gonna get better. I know he's gonna get better. I know he's gonna do the work. I know he's gonna go to therapy. I know when he has this kid, it's gonna make him elevate to a mature level. Child, I know. You get in a situation 5, 6, 7 years pass, and this person is still in the same immature space, or has not done the work, or has not done the growth. Where does that leave you? Where does that leave now a child that you have brought into the situation? Women have a issue with really being selfish, some women. And it goes back, if you listen to all of these, what we've learned since turning 40, they all are a domino effect on each other. This is why if you go back to number 1 or number 2, date yourself, love yourself, romanticize your life, know what you like, know what you don't like, understand yourself and date yourself in and out, because that's going to help you choose someone who's going to be adding to your life and not taking away. You have to be very conscious of the energy and the people around you, especially when choosing a partner. One thing my brother said to me that is one of the most perfect statements is that, especially when you're dating, you need to have a return on your investments. As a woman, you laying down, you're having a man enter your body, secrete things from him into your body over and over and over again. And if you're dealing with a man that has issues, that is not healed, all of that trauma is coming out in his semen into your body, and you're doing it over and over and over again. And here's the thing, soul ties are real, okay? You ever think about this? You ever be with a man and notice yourself changing in not a positive way? You know, notice certain unhealed or certain characteristics in him that may have been a red flag to you. You now see those things manifesting in yourself, in your characteristics. If you date a man who is an abuser, or, you know, has mood swings, right? For example, this man, you having sex with this man, you laying down with this man, he is being intimate with you, letting his fluids, his inner body, I know this sounds crazy, but you gotta think this way, spew into your body, unhealed trauma spewing into your body, anger spewing into your body, rage spewing into your body, you know, issues from childhood spewing into your body. What does that look like? What does that look like after a couple of years? What effect is that going to have on you? And then you mess around and have a kid. And so now you are starting a generation of unhealed, potentially unhealed, toxic children who have issues if you don't pick the right person, and you're setting yourself up for failure. I was on a live last night on TikTok. I was one of the people like on the panel discussing about, you know, oh, Black women, they have the highest single rate and the highest divorce rate, and they out here having kids with, you know, these men and becoming baby mamas and stuff like that. You don't want to be on the side of being that woman because you failed to pick a partner that was going to add value to your life, was going to have a return on your investment. You don't want to be on the other side of that, because once you have a kid with somebody, you locked in for 18 years. And if you have a child with somebody, you marry somebody, you're with somebody who has issues, those issues can now become your issues. And now you're having a fight. Set yourself up. Be very intentional about the partner that you choose. This next one I thought was really good. Life doesn't have to look the way you imagined it. Focus on you. Your mental health supersedes all. Now, one of my homegirls put this in the little notes that I had, and I'm here for it. I'm going to repeat it. Life doesn't have to look the way you imagined it. Focus on you. Your mental health supersedes it all. Loaded. And this goes with what we've been talking about. Sometimes we can be in bondage of what our parents wanted for us. We can be in bondage of gotta stick to the traditions, gotta do this certain thing. I gotta be married at a certain age. I gotta stay with this man who's abusing me. You know, I have this goal and this vision for my life. I'm putting everything I have into this goal and this vision for my life. Been there. I will say after my divorce, I had a couple of years where I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to have fun, whatever. But after that year of me healing, which really wasn't the year of healing, I put so much pressure on myself to get my lick back, for lack of better words, right? Like, okay, you know what? I failed at this marriage, failed at this family. I'm going to put everything I have into a do-over. I'm not going to date myself. I'm not going to do the work on myself. I'm going to put all my focus on this life that I'm imagining for myself. And it's not 100% wrong, right, to have a vision, to have goals, to want certain things, but you have to be open to what God wants for you. You have to be open to the universe and allow things to manifest and unfold with faith. Because to me, I feel like putting that pressure on yourself to have A, B, C, D, E, it takes away from the fun and the joy of life, and it makes you make decisions based on, okay, I'm gonna be 40 in a year, so I better do this. I only got a couple of months left or 2 years left. The time is ticking. I have to make these certain decisions. And now you're choosing a partner, choosing a career, doing things based on this imaginary time clock that you have on your life, which is next up. Stop putting imaginary time clocks on your life. This is a ding, 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 ding for me. This idea that women have a ticking time bomb on their life is almost like women feel like sometimes there's this clock on the top of their head and it's ticking. And once the stroke of midnight comes and you turn 40, life is over. It's too late. It's too late. That is the biggest damn lie I have ever heard. Obviously, if you want to have kids and stuff like that, okay, maybe, they call it a geriatric pregnancy. I had my baby when I was 39. Okay. A lot of women are having babies at later ages, right? Does that potentially come with some health concerns? Possibly. But the point of it is that you cannot go through life pressuring yourself because you feel like time is running out. It literally makes you make stupid decisions. Making decisions based off fear never leads to no good decisions. I'm gonna tell you what it gives. If I had to guess, I feel like God will always want to teach you, because God is your father. God wants you to learn. He wants the best for you. And think about how you are, or your family or friends are with their children. You want your child to learn so they can make better decisions. You chastise your kids so they can learn and make better choices. It is the same thing with God, right? You make these decisions, you have these goals, but what if these goals are not the best goals for you? What if how you see your life, right? We always think about that Instagram post where, there's God standing in front of the little girl. She has this little tiny box and she's like, God, I want this. Please, please. I want this so bad. So bad. So bad. Please. I want this so bad. And God saying no. And she's upset. But what God has for her is something even bigger than this tiny box. And so when we put this time clock on ourselves, we are making decisions based off of fear and not based off of faith. And it's easy to say on the other side of 40, it's easy to say that, but these are such important lessons that I want women to learn before they hit 40, because what's happening is you're not enjoying that phase of life where maybe you are single. Maybe you don't have to worry about, getting a kid up in the morning, arguing with some man or having sex with some man every night. Maybe that's not your phase of life that you're in right now. Enjoy that, because once you go into that marriage, once you go into that relationship, once you become a mom, you will never, ever, ever, hopefully, be living by yourself again. So you have to really be focused on, okay, there's no time clock. And I'm not saying be out here stupid, being a hoe and out here, oh, I can do what I want to do, whatever. Have a plan, be strategic, but stop putting these restraints and these timelines on yourself that you haven't even talked to God about. You have a plan, but you ain't even consulted with God. You have a plan, but you ain't prayed about it. You have a plan, but you haven't, talked to your elders to kind of get their thoughts on, hey, how does life look for you? Like, what have you learned in your 50 years that maybe I can learn from? Stop putting pressure on yourself. Stop saying there's a time clock, there's a time clock, there's a time clock. Oh my God, I'm going to be 40, so let me just settle for this nigga I'm with right now, have his kid because I want to have a kid so bad, and then be miserable for the next 10 years. Or, you know what? Maybe the plan that I have for my life isn't what God has for me. So I'm going to be open to the universe. I'm going to be open to praying to God and knowing that He knows what's best for me. And I'm going to pivot and move according to what God has for me, period, point blank. Next up, we have a money mindset. Have a money mindset. It's not all about, finding a man and being married at the end of the day. Like, if that's not the lane in the life that is for you to be, married super early or whatever, you don't want to be sitting there waiting for a rich man to come and save you. That's great. And if that's what you want, okay, put yourself in the right places to find that partner. But at the end of the day, you have to have a money mindset. You have to be smart with your money. And this is when it goes back to talking to people who are where maybe you want to be financially. When I was 20, when I was 30, I ain't have no good credit score. I didn't have money saved up. I wasn't thinking about, saving for retirement, none of that kind of stuff. But then I might see someone like in their 40s or in their 50s who happily married, living a good life. I know I can assume that they have a good relationship when it comes to money. Let me talk to them. And even if they're not married, maybe there's women out here who I know, who seem to have it all together. Have a conversation with them. What are you doing, or what did you do, or what didn't you do when you was my age to save and set yourself up to have a good, nice nest egg? What did you do to buy your first property? These are not things that you need to wait until you're 40, 35 to think about. You can buy a home. I was talking to this girl and she is 25, just bought her first house. And I'm like, girl, that is so damn good. And she's not married. Like, look, I bought a house with my husband, right, in my early 20s, but that was me and my husband's house. You know what I'm saying? If you're not married, that does not mean that you can't think about buying properties, setting yourself up, trying to find ways to make residual income. Because at the end of the day, you're not waiting on, okay, 40, now let me activate, or I can't save and prepare for the future until I have a man to save and prepare for the future with. What happens if that man don't come until you 42? What happens if that man and that family doesn't come until you're 38 and you're 25? You're going to wait to start saving money? Set yourself up in a good space financially, especially now in like social media, in the social media era, in this entrepreneurial mindset with women. There seems to be so many ways that when I was 20, I ain't have these options to make money. People are making money by just taking a camera, walking around and filming their lives every single day. It warms my heart so much, especially as older, seeing all these women, these Black girls on TikTok who are in their early to mid 20s, having nice cars, right? Having a nice apartment, coming home to a clean apartment. They're investing, they're romanticizing their life. They're having their cups of coffee. They have a clean space. There's no man in sight, and they seem to be fine with that. And they're making money moves at 22, 23, 24, 25. They're talking about 401k. They're talking about IRA. They're setting themselves up. They don't have just one stream of income. They have several streams of income. Like, that is the coolest thing. Traveling the world, talking to people, engaging with people, setting themselves up for the future. Money management is so important. I'm going to end with these last two. Practice discipline. Again, if you go back and you play this over again, you'll see how all of these are pieces to a puzzle. And if you move right, do the research, work on yourself, constantly be a student of life, constantly be reading books and trying to understand things and, learning things daily. Every day I want to learn something new. Every day I want to elevate. You'll see how all of these like tips or whatever you want to call them, they're puzzle pieces that's going to get you to this life that you want. Practice discipline. You look now, and if you look on YouTube, you look on TikTok, morning routines, night routines, they're like everywhere you look. Everybody want to have a routine. And I feel like that's something that I really didn't start looking into until 40. And I hate that for myself, but it is what it is. I'm still young as fuck. Okay, I'm still young. I mean, I still have a lot of years ahead of me. I'm still super young. But at the end of the day, imagine if I would have set myself up for success in the discipline area years ago. Discipline will get you places where sometimes your intelligence and knowledge won't get you. Discipline is one of the most important things that you can practice that muscle. And when you are researching about discipline, researching about routines, one of these things that I always see on YouTube that I think is so cool that I'm just now starting to look at is people always talk about what type of discipline or routines do millionaires have. If you go on YouTube, and it's a lot of stuff, it's very, very overwhelming, but they always talk about what is the routine of a millionaire? What is the routine of the rich? What do they do? What type of discipline do they have? I don't hear a lot of conversations about this, and maybe I'm in the wrong places, but having discipline is just important, period, point blank. Like there's nothing else I can say about that. You have to have discipline when it comes to your eating habits, discipline when it comes to your health. That is a muscle that the sooner you start exercising, the better you're going to be as you get older. Discipline myself with my money management, discipline myself with getting up early and working out, practice discipline and having a routine that's setting myself up for success. That's going to spill over into my work life. It's going to spill over into my relationships. Like if I have discipline, the world is my oyster because I am training my brain to do things that's going to set me up for success. The sooner you start disciplining yourself and researching what discipline looks like and understanding the importance of discipline, there are so many good ass podcasts. One of the ones that I love is the Huberman Lab. I'll put it right here. The Huberman Lab is a really, really good scientific based podcast talking about discipline. And it talks about other things, but it gives you the scientific backing of how important discipline is in your life. There are a lot of podcasts and YouTubes that discuss discipline and gives you ways to kind of start your discipline lifestyle and to understand about it. It's really important. And I think people don't talk about, especially with their kids, how to discipline yourself, especially when you first maybe, get out of high school, first in college. Start a routine, start a discipline practice. The younger you do it, the easier it's going to be to keep that routine going in your life. It's hard to start trying to be disciplined when you're 45 years old. Like you can do it, obviously, but it's that much harder if you don't start doing it when you're young. My last one that I think is like one of the best to close with. My friend put this in here, child, and it's so good. It's never too late to start again. Growth never stops. It is never too late to start again. It is never too late to start again. It is never too late to start again. Every day that you go to bed and God blesses you to wake up with a new day is a fresh start. Period. Hard stop. Every day that you wake up is a new day to be better than the day before. It is never too late. Women always feel like, and I think that the media has a big hand in this. Our parents have a big hand in this. And sometimes the stuff that we see, it's never too late. Like, stop putting limitations on your life. It is never too late to pivot. There's blessings in your ability to pivot. When you focus on the fact that, okay, you know what? I done fucked up these last couple of years. I done fucked up this whole 2024. I done fucked up, these last 2 weeks. Let me start over. Now, the issue arises when you find yourself using that as a crutch. And every day you're going to start on Monday. Every week you're going to start on Monday. I'm going to start on Monday. No, that is not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that if you're trying something or if you're in a place in your life that you feel like it's not serving you, you don't have to stay there. You can start over. One of the great things about the internet, the World Wide Web, YouTube, TikTok, there's so many places that you can research and learn how to start over. People, the blessing of these podcasts and of these YouTube channels is that people like myself, they're being vulnerable to say, hey, here's what I did. This shit didn't work. Don't do what I did. Learn from me, right? You need to use your resources to understand that if you're in a career that you don't like, don't fucking stay there. If you want to be an entrepreneur, do the research, do the work, use that discipline to do the work. You don't have to stay in a situation that you feel like it's not serving you. It's almost like killing yourself slowly. When you're in a situation that isn't serving you, when you're in a phase in your life that isn't serving you, and when you're in anything that's not making you feel good and you just stay there, you're killing yourself slowly. You're not a tree. Every time, start over, period, start over. I want to be an author, start over, do the research, be smart, be strategic, make sure your money right, but start over. I be seeing so many women who are getting married to the loves of their lives at 50 and they have another 50 years to go to spend their life perfectly in their eyes. And again, I don't want to put so much emphasis on marriage and finding a partner, but I just know that a lot of women, including myself, we put a lot of value in having that beautiful family, having that beautiful relationship, and shit, that's what we want. That's what we want. But at the end of the day, there's more to life than that. Make yourself a whole person, a whole being. So then when you do find that man, you're a healed person and you're not taking your toxic shit and then putting it into a man. And now you got a whole fucked up relationship, child. No, start over. Don't be miserable going to a job every day and you hate it. Start over. If you want to have a podcast, start over. Start it today. If you want to be a teacher, go get the certification, start over. If you want to be a project manager, get the cert, start over. If you are in a horrible marriage, a horrible situation, relationship, it's not working out for you, start over. If you're here and you're alive, you can always start over. You can always pivot. Life is good. Don't let nobody lie to you and tell you that it ain't. Listen, y'all, this was my things that I've learned and things that I have pulled from my friends that we've learned since turning 40. 40 is the new 30. 30 is the new 20. We out here living lives. We're out here in our feminine energy, manifesting our dream lives, trusting God, having faith, praying, pouring into others, sowing good seeds so good seeds will come back to us. Life is good. Don't let nobody tell you that it's not. Make sure you drop a comment. Let me know what you have learned from this episode or what you want to pour into people in the comments under here. And I'll see you next episode.
You are now tuning to That's Scary.